That's an original reel. What a difference. So good morning guys, welcome back. Something a little special for you today. Saltist 1830H's. We are going to be stripping the factory grease out of the bearings. We've already had Chris Macy do the mags on all 4 reels. So they're going to be nice, controlled for casting. These reels I've actually purchased for West Wales and other things. So I can more so the bigger fish, so I can put bigger line on it, just keep the big line on. And then I have the casting specials then for the channel work. Bristol channel obviously. So today as well, we are working, I say we, me, the channel, are working with somebody to make us the ratchet upgrades for these reels because they are absolutely rubbish from factory. Not sure if you can just about hear that. It'll probably be hard to pick up on the audio, but it's not quiet. It's not really loud like we used to with the Fathoms. In my opinion, bring back the Fathom Mark 1 metal ratchets. Perfect, absolutely perfect. These could be perfect, I suppose, if they made the ratchet cogs a little more prominent with the teeth instead of hardly anything, which I will show you on the next reel now. But this one has already been done. It's a far more prominent noise and the level of noise is a lot louder as well. But I don't know whether it's going to transfer across on the audio. I have got the microphone on today to try and get that audio for you. But it is, that's the standard ones. So all you will need for this is a brake and clutch cleaner. This one I find you don't get all the white residue, which if you clean your bearings out with this, a lot of people use lighter fluid and things. Brake and clutch is perfect for it. It's a good degreaser, and it doesn't leave the white residue on your bearings afterwards. With my tournament casting, I've got myself a bearing tool, which I'll show you in a bit how that works. Need a 2.5mm Allen key for opening the reel, flathead screwdriver, and also I have this little gadget, which is for that little pin, which you can see there. That little pin there, you can use a pliers, but this is an actual proper press that you slip over, wind in, pushes the pin out, and then you can push the pin back in later on. So this is one we've already done earlier, so we don't need that at the moment. So what I will do, as I've stripped this reel already, put that back in there. Can be a little fiddly. I'll prefer the reel the right way round. So we'll start fresh on a fresh reel. As I say, that is our new upgrade. So 2.5mm Allen key. There's 3 screws. 1, 2, 3. There's one just on the lever there, which you don't need to undo. turn the ratchet off a second. So I do apologise if this is long-winded, guys. I hope you're all having a good week. Fishing in the channel has been absolutely rubbish. I have been lucky to get myself into a few rays, to be honest, but it is dire, absolutely dire. The whiting are thin on the ground. We had a few pout in the other night, scratching for bait. Sorry if you can hear the dog licking himself. Hey. So yeah, that's that side plate off. Keep that to one side. Keep the tools all to one side. I'm not sure if you can pick up on the camera. Those bearings are absolutely rammed. And everything else is full of grease. Don't get me wrong. The grease is a good thing. The grease is your friend in the right places. But that bearing inside there, in the middle, these are very similar to the Daiwa 7HT Magnafuse systems, the way they are set up there. So that is rammed full of grease, which is not your friend. Or that bearing, which is not your friend, as they say. What I like to do as well, when I'm squirting and cleaning, as you see now, use the lid. So these tools, I bought this off AliExpress. You can get them on eBay. You wind the tool out enough for it to sit over the little pin that's inside. Start winding. Make sure the pin is lining up with the thread that's going through, and you'll feel it pushing through. Keep going. This is where it bottoms out now and doesn't come through. But that is out. Keep that to one side, and then you can take your bearing off. So that is one bearing out the way. So what we will do at the moment, if I was a little bit more prepared, I would have had some tissue or something to start cleaning this. So, as I like to say, fail to prepare, prepare to fail, as they say. So, tissue. This is fine for doing this, guys. Just clean up where the bearings originally been. There's a lot of grease on that cog. I like to just clean that up. So this is actually the original ratchet cog. And as you can see, that is now our upgrade. So, what you need to be careful now, there's a little circlip in there, which is a clip like that kind of shape, which just fits on the shaft. So you'll see the little small gaps at behind. Be careful as you're doing this now, because you will lose it. I normally like to put my finger behind. So that's popped there now, catches the clip, which is that. So we keep that to one side. There's two small washers, which you will see on the cog now. Two of those. And the original cog. As you can see there, there's a big difference in the teeth, which is why that is so quiet. And that is nice and loud. So what we'll do, because it's been magged, already monomagged, the brake blocks are off. Nice and simple. We'll do the ratchet first, guys, right? So there's only one way these ratchet cogs can go on. They are in having little alterations to them at the moment, but that is on. Nice snug fit. Make sure it's nice and clean and flush. Just give a nice little push. That's it, they're on. So with these now, guys, there's two thin small washers. You only need to put one back on as of this video, but depending on how we go with modifications, prototypes and things, say these are at a prototype stage at the moment that are nearly finished, but these washers are way too big anyway, so they just sit over the top, and now you need to put your circlip back on again, which is going to be a nightmare because they are really awkward. Okay, so I'm sorry this video is a bit miles away when it comes to explaining exactly what needs to be done, but there's a little collar inside there for that clip to sit over. So what I like to do is just gently line it up with the screwdriver. As I say, it is awkward because you need to keep the washer in place as well. Keep your fingers around it because you lose the circlip otherwise. And just need to tease it in. Nearly. Come on. There you go. That will sit in and keep your washer in place and keep the ratchet cog from coming off. But it's a nice snug fit on the ratchet cog anyway. If it was metal, I suppose it would fall off. You need the two washers, but just for safety purpose, we keep one washer for now and the cog on with a clip. So that can go to one side at the moment without it rolling away. The little pin that we took out earlier on, take the grease out of that, and now they can be made redundant, and there now is our bearing, and this is where this comes into play. It is a bearing tool, and what I like to do is just over the cup, turn to see where all the grease is starting to come out. What I normally do is I take this out by the front door to do it, but the wife is in work today, so she's none the wiser. Give the bearings a little spin. Job done. I do like to run my bearings dry, so that just means you need to keep on top of them a little bit more. Whereas you can give it a little drop of the rocket fuel and they're oiled up. But as I say, I like to keep mine dry. So that there now is actually spinning very nicely compared to absolutely no spin with the original greasing. What you can do is, another thing as well, lightly squirt that in there. So you've got a little puddle in there, and swirl it around. So what we will do, I'll leave that in there for now actually, soaking, while we tackle the next bearing. Now inside there is a, how should we say, a square clip that you need to squeeze in. One leg will come out and then you can peel it off and peel it out. Let's see if I can do this nice and quick for you. As long as you find the one end that's popped out there now. As long as you can find the two ends that join each other. Just give that a little clean. how well you can see that, I don't know. It's like a little square clip. Keep that safe. That is another one as well. You need to cup your hands over because it will disappear. Screwdriver in. Oh, look at that, guys. Oh, that's disgusting. Look how thick and full of grease that is. Don't get me wrong. Like I say, in the right places, grease is your friend when it comes to sea fishing. There's a little washer in there. Just lightly gone over the top of the washer, taking any excess grease that is still in there. It's obviously good to keep grease on your ratchet cog. There's a bit of grease on the spring for your monomag. All those moving areas are good to have grease. So, as I say, again, that one's a little smaller. So you obviously need to remember now which way these bearings go as well, because one won't fit in the other. So drop it in there first. Depending on how this video goes, guys, how long it'll be, I might just cut it into sections to make it a little bit easier viewing. Otherwise it'll be a little tedious and boring. So that one there now. It's a big considerable difference already. Just swilling it in the brake and clutch cleaner. Absolutely flying. Which is where a monomag will come into its own then, where you can set it, which is another story for another day, as they say, when it comes to field casting. Setting your startup times, where you can just on the limit get away with the cast and then wind the mag off in the cast. So what I'll do now, give that a little squirt, turn it over so you're doing the other side. When I'm outside, I'll squirt it and you can physically see the bearing spinning, which is what I like to do outside, because then the bearing is actually just shooting the dirt out as you're putting this speed of fluid into it. Just shoots everything and cleans everything up. No doubt. Big difference. Big difference. So, getting the wheels all nice and dirty with all the brake fluid flying everywhere. So that's that one. All fingers and thumbs this morning. Big difference with that one as well. It's actually spinning. Whereas earlier on, they weren't spinning at all. So, sometimes a little magnet will help you with this one. Just to get it back in, it's an absolute ball ache to get back in sometimes. I know when I was doing my 7HTs, they were horrendous to get out and do. But that bearing is in, as long as you make sure it's in nice and tidy. Just make sure everything's nice and clean all around you, or there's no excess grease on the sides of your spools. So that's the small bearing back inside there. And now the big bearing has to go back on the spool. Push it down all the way. Spinning beautiful. This is where now I hope it goes straight back in and we don't have to mess about. So sometimes it'll be tight. A lot of people will say just use pliers to go over the top, but that is the actual special tool for doing bearings. You can do bearings and things with it, but this is the pin that holds the bearing, like a locking pin. You just line it back up. Once you start to tighten, it should start pushing the pin back in. I have had to make the hole slightly bigger for it to fit. Otherwise we wouldn't have been able to do it today. That's it. So you roughly want that to be reasonably equal lengths either side of the pin on the shaft. Just me being fussy there, might need to go just a little bit more. Once it tightens up, right, we're there. So with this tool as well, what I have found is that pin there is slightly bigger than a 7HT. So what you'll find with a 7HT is that thread there has a small pin on the end, and this one just has a big pin. So this one actually needs the big thread for it to work. So that's on there. That bearing is not coming out. It's locked in place. What we also need to do as well, now that this bearing is in, this is the fun bit, which I might just speed up a little bit now, but that square spring needs to fit back in that housing, the bearing housing, let's call it, which is the fun part now, because you have the monomag trying to magnetize the clip. It's reasonably easy to do, guys. It's not a big job as such. It's fiddly more than anything. Anyone local to Bridgend, it's obviously where I live. If you'd like to get in contact, I'll more than happily do it for you. It is something I could possibly start offering, is reel upgrades and things. So that is back in there now, and locking the bearing in. So this ratchet now back in the spool. We can already hear the noise difference. So that is in there. So what we need to do now, I'm not going to touch the gearbox side of the reel. All the factory grease and things like that can stay in that. That's perfect. I do find with Penn and Daiwa, their factory grease is pretty good grease. I have pots of the Penn grease in the box, which I like to use on my reels. And as I've said, in the right places, it is a very good grease to have. Just in certain places, like the bearings, you don't want it. So 3 screws now, 2.5mm Allen key. What I like to do first is just lightly tighten them in, ever so lightly. You don't need to hammer these in, because you will round the heads off. Just a little nip up, and a nip up, so they're reasonably tight. Perfect. What a difference. What a difference those cogs make. Let's have a look. That's come out a minute because I haven't screwed it back in properly. What's that one? There you go. That's an original reel. What a difference. So I hope that's helped, guys. I don't know how long the video's gone on for. Might be a little bit long-winded. I do apologise if my eyes are down and not up, etc, etc, but I'm hoping the audio has come out perfect. So say that's one that's already been done. That's one that's already been done. That's the original. Absolutely shocking. So something just slid off it. There you go. It's just moved out inside there. So what we will do in a minute is sort that one out. But yeah, thanks again guys for watching. Just a quick run through the tools. Flathead screwdriver, a good brake and clutch cleaner, some tissue. I use the lid with the liquid in and just swill the bearings around after I've blasted the bearings out, which I like to do outside. It doesn't get everything else dirty. But that is the bearing pin removal tool. A bearing tool, which you can put your bearings on, obviously, spin them up, clean them, and a 2.5mm Allen key. So yeah, thanks again guys. I hope it is going to be informative and will help anyone who, when these come out, you'll be able to do it yourself. And at the same time, when you do this, you can give your reels a little tweak, speed them up, clean them up, and you will see a big difference. If you use these reels on a regular, just by cleaning those bearings out, you will notice a big difference. I'm a big fan of the casting specials. Love my casting specials. As you've seen in previous videos, we strip the bearings, take the magnets out, and they are nice and fast. These, by all accounts, without the monomag, depending on what brake blocks you've got in there and your spool tension, they can be difficult to cast and they will blow up. So Chris Macy monomag, to be fair, he does a real good monomag. It's nice and neat, which will give you all the control you need. And the ratchets, that now, perfect. You do have to spend that little bit more money to get the reel you want, but in my eyes, these Daiwas are a bit more bomb-proof than the casting specials. With the casting specials, they do like to corrode around the feet of the reel. These just seem a complete cage, etc. They're just far more well-built reel. As someone said to me before, they're like a poor man's Saltist, which, to be fair, they are. But they are perfect. So thanks again for watching, guys. Hope you enjoyed it. If you haven't already liked and subscribed, we're not far off 3,000 subscribers now. By the time this video comes out, I'm hoping we will be on 3,000. So if we are on 3,000, thank you very much, it's all appreciated. If not, get subscribing, get liking, get commenting. And thanks again for watching.